Hey, what up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I wasn't gonna post a video today, but I had to after I saw this. As always, thanks for subscribing, thanks for ringing the bell, which notifies you when I'm making a video, and thank you for posting your comments. Dan Orlovsky, who does a really good job, I think, in breaking down film on quarterback play for ESPN, was on one of the screaming head talking shows on ESPN today. And here's what he said about Dak Prescott.
And I've got to be honest, and my job is to be honest. The past 2 seasons, he's played poorly against good teams. That's the honest-to-God truth. So if there's a reason why they haven't yet, he has played poorly against good football teams. There's no running from that.
Now, my buddy RJ Ochoa over at Blogging the Boys took this clip because he heard it, thought it was stupid, which it is, and then posted it to Twitter. So Orlovsky sees the response that this is getting on Twitter, has to defend himself, so he takes to Twitter. To Twitter! So he says to RJ, hey, I was a guest on your show, and I came on your show out of respect for you, but this is weak because this isn't the full context of what I said. And then he added this. No, we were having a convo of trying to figure out why the Joneses haven't paid, and none of us could think of a legit or worthy or good reason. So basically, Orlovsky says that Dak Prescott hasn't played good against top opponents the last 2 seasons. He mentions it's the God to honest truth, even though it's not factually accurate to say that. Because in the last 2 years, he played Seattle in the playoffs and beat Seattle. He also played really well in a loss against Minnesota, played really well against a Green Bay team this past year in a loss. Now, he did play poorly down the stretch against New England and Philadelphia, and it's fair to say that he did play poorly down the stretch of this season, period. And it's even more accurate to say he did play poorly down the stretch of the season against good teams, but not the God to honest truth over the course of the last 2 seasons. That's just blatantly false and inaccurate. And especially, even worse, when you're like, it's the God to honest truth. I'm speaking truthfully. Truth, 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 truth. It's not. It's not accurate to say that. It's not the truth. No additional context necessary. However, if he's trying to say, no, I spoke glowingly about Dak Prescott for a long time, and then when we were trying to figure out why he hasn't been paid yet, I came up with some reason for why I thought that he hadn't been paid yet. This tweet, this response is in many ways the essence of the talking head TV shows on sports and why they suck so much. Because so many people pay attention to those shows and watch those shows, so the people that say things on those shows when they are inaccurate information or not true need to be held responsible for the things that they said. He's saying we're trying to figure out why I haven't paid him yet. But if you cover the Cowboys and you read what's being said about them, or you talk to the people that know you're plugged into that organization at all, it's very clear why Dak Prescott has not been paid yet. 1, well, because Stephen Jones and Dak's representation, Todd France, haven't spoken in months. Hard to get a deal done when you haven't spoken. And 2, because the last time they spoke, the Cowboys offered around $34 million, and Todd France didn't think that number was high enough. So the Cowboys have a range between $30 and $35 million, and Todd France and Dak Prescott think his range is somewhere between $37 and $40 million. That's why they haven't gotten a deal done. They haven't found common ground on what the particulars of the deal should be. And it's not because he's played poorly against good teams the last 2 seasons. Because a lot of people watch this show, and so therefore a lot of people will buy that narrative. But this cuts to the core of the most important part of this entire Dak discussion. Anybody that's watching this right now, you're a Cowboys fan. Have you been paying attention to what Stephen Jones and Mike McCarthy have been saying? Everybody else is caught up in this discussion of, is Dak the guy? And, should they trade him and maybe try to trade up and draft Tua? Or should they trade him and look to sign Tom Brady? Or maybe they should sign Teddy Bridgewater and trade Dak? Or blah, 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 blah. The Cowboys aren't having these discussions. The Cowboys believe that Dak Prescott is the guy already. That's the thing that everybody's missing. Everybody else, analysts, fans, Dan Orlovsky, the Screaming Head Show on ESPN, they're all screaming about, well, maybe the Cowboys are having internal discussions on whether or not he's the guy. They're not. They're convinced he is the guy, and if you don't think that they are, you haven't been paying attention. Period. Stephen Jones has said this for years. He said it publicly. And for those that have information from inside the Cowboys locker room, he said it privately too. For years, Dak is the guy. Mike McCarthy came out at the Combine on Wednesday and said this publicly. Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. He's going to be our quarterback. Blah, 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 blah. Dak Prescott is going to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys next season. Repeat it with me. They're going to pay Dak Prescott. He will be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. The only thing we have to figure out at this point, or things, are for how much money and for how many years.